like to call the meeting of the May 1st Pitt County Board of Education meeting to order at this time. And I would like to ask Ms. Williams to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the moment of silence. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, yes. I would like for us to take a moment and think about the moment of silence for our students and our staff and our community of Pitt County. I'll also give special thanks to no reports of bad prom incidents, no accidents. We haven't had to receive those phone calls, and I'm just so grateful for that. I want y'all to keep in mind the parents and the students that'll be graduating next month, and wishing them well. So we just give a moment of just thanks. Amen.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Routine business. All of you saw the agenda. Are there any adjustments to the agenda for tonight?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you very much. It's been moved.
Second.
And seconded. Discussion? Favor, raise your right hand. The motion to approve the agenda. All opposed, raise your right hand. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Next, we will have Dr. Lewis with a spotlight on teaching and learning.
Good evening. As always, we have a lot of wonderful things going on in the school system, and tonight we want to highlight a few of those. Our staff at several of our schools, they've done a really wonderful job of identifying student needs, but then also taking that additional step of looking for grant opportunities to help fund addressing some of those needs. And so there's 3 grant recipients we wanted to share a little bit about with you tonight. First, we want to invite up the media coordinator at Sug Bundy Elementary, Anitra Cook. Ms. Cook was awarded a $1,000 grant from the Digital Learning Department with Pitt County Schools to enhance the program with maker supplies. Additionally, she received a Perkins grant for $37,000 to revitalize the media center space at the school. I just want to ask her to come forward and share a little bit about those grants.
Hello. Hello. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we have done in the Media Center. Last summer, we decided to apply for the Perkins Grant through the Pitt County Foundation. We did not receive it initially, so we reapplied and kind of changed up things a little bit, and we were awarded $37,000 in August. And so with the shift to more flexibility in the library, we decided we wanted to make more of a social commons, and we also wanted to create a maker space in our library. So if you look at the pictures, the before picture shows the bulky wooden tables and shelving. We had about 20 shelves in our library initially. And then we decided to I got free reign to manipulate the library in a way that would make it a lot more functional. So we have new tables that are on casters. We have new shelving that's lightweight. We were able to create sections within the Media Center for different things. So we have an area for small grouping. We have areas for whole group instruction. We have computerized or areas where we can have computer sessions. And so it basically just made our library a lot more functional. For our grant, we requested new chairs. We received a new circulation desk. We were able to get our library painted. We received wall decals to make it more kid-friendly. And so our library functions a lot differently now. So now when you come into our library, we have a, let's see, those are old pictures. We have transformed, so we painted our walls blue. We have a setup station for kids so they can check in and check out. We have designer shelving and things like that so that it looks really aesthetically pleasing. We have areas for small group. We have 2 sections where we can have whole group instruction. So we've been able to have different classes to come in and work on things at the same time. We have a story pit area, which we just kind of revamped a little bit and added a few bean bags and things. Our ECU interns kind of meet there, so while they're there, our kids are working. We can have a maker space going. We can have research going. And now we basically use the media center for all of our events. So prior to the renovation, we were unable to use it for the staff. We're a staff of 2 schools, so we could not fit everybody in because we couldn't manipulate the furniture. So now we can easily transform the space. We have our staff meetings, we have PLCs. I host an intervention block daily. I host clubs daily. And then we also have been privileged to be the setting for WNCT's literacy segment. So they filmed in our library because it was so nice. But most importantly, we're able to transform our space into like a multifunctional space where we can collaborate and just have more learning take place. Any questions? All right.
Very fast. Thank you so much.
And as you can see, it's more colorful, so we have color coordinated shelving. We just kind of condense things. Like we've had a lot of the old shelving from when both schools combined. So what we did is we just put things closer together so that it made a lot more sense and we weren't taking up space. And as you can see, the kids have loved it. Like they're a part of the library space now.
Thank you, Ms. Cook. I told Ms. Cook she didn't believe me that she doesn't have to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Come on. We want you.
And you can tell, this isn't part of these individuals, it's not part of their job description to do grant writing. This is something they're doing above and beyond in order to try and help our schools and our students. The next individual we'd like to ask to come up is Ms. Delane Fuqua. She's the media coordinator at Farmville Middle School. And she was awarded a $3,700 grant for from the Women for Women of Pitt County. And the grant serves to help support science and technology education for young women. She also has a few guests who are going to join her.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Mrs. Olmsted for the cart so we could get all this stuff up here today. I was struggling with that. My husband is back there because he was going to help. And I'd also like to thank our principal, Mr. Briney, for all his support in helping us with all this. So statistics say, and research says, that 84.7% of jobs are held by women, that they are receptionists and bookkeepers and waitresses and maids and secretaries. They make around $387 to $685 a week. Those are awesome jobs, and I don't think any of us could function without them, and there's nothing at all wrong with those jobs. When I went through school, and yes, I am old, of course, I thought I could have 3 choices: a nurse, a secretary, or a teacher. That was it. And I knew I was going to be a teacher because I am a product of Pitt County Schools, and I loved every one of my teachers, and I knew I wanted to be a teacher. So I said there's got to be something for some high-paying jobs that these girls need to know about other than just the jobs that I mentioned before. So wrote a grant, Women for Women. They were very, 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 very kind. And they gave us money, and we've got Little Bits kits. I told them, as I told my principal, Mr. Briney, I am the last person in the building that needs to be doing anything with engineering. Because if I did not have a husband and 2 boys, when we did get rid of our VCR, it would have still been blinking 12 o'clock, you know? Because I didn't care, and I didn't know how to fix it, and it didn't bother me, but of course it bothered them. So these girls have really taken off, and I gave them the opportunity to come tonight with their families if they wanted to, and look, they showed up. And the things they produced is just unreal, because they don't have a lot of help from me, because I'm just like, okay, that works like that, okay, let's do this, let's do that. They're awesome. So girls, come on down. It's called Al's Occupations Women Likely Skip, and I have to give full credit to my husband for coming up with that name, because, you know, I'm like, I got to come up with something good for these girls. They're awesome, and they are going to say their names, if you don't mind. Do you have time for that, real
Please,
quickly?
go right ahead.
And you can tell them what you made, okay? Go ahead, start.
I'm sorry, Wooded.
Up, right here.
I'm sorry, Wooded, and we made the star chart.
Okay.
I'm Sage Rayton, and I made the star chart with Zaria.
So get your star chart. Y'all get your projects and hold them in your hand. How about that? And you might want to walk over here and let them see it. Just do a whole Vanna White thing and move around. Because it's pretty awesome. And their project didn't work like they wanted it to at first, and they totally improvised, put it in a box, and did something just really awesome. Okay, next.
My name's Shane Kaminsky, and we made a record player.
Sweetie, speak up, please.
My name's Shane Kaminsky, and we made a record player.
Oh, wow.
Record player.
My name's Victoria Vox, and I made the record player with Cheyenne.
Cool.
My name's Mackenzie Johnson, and I helped make the record player.
So they made a record player. Hold on a second. They made a record player, and finding a record was a real chore. That was part of the chore, just finding the record. And it actually plays a Motown song, and when I started singing along, they just looked at me like, really? You know this song? Okay, and let's let Trinity go next. Trinity?
I'm Trinity Sheffield, and I made a keyboard.
Oh, wow.
And it actually plays the whole song, so go ahead. And then girls, tell them what you did. This was part of our first semester. We had first semester 30 girls and second semester 30 girls. Tell them a little bit. It's okay. Tell them a little bit about what you did. Tell them your name.
My name's Ayana Douglas, and I made a light-up tower that would light up when it was dark, and it looked like the Empire State Building.
A light-up tower.
That looks like the Empire State Building.
Did you bring it?
Your brother and sister came to your house. I think they liked it together.
I thought maybe I forgot. I made an igloo, right? Oh, an igloo.
Can they do it? Oh, I don't know.
You knew that, right?
Oh, it's just a PowerPoint. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I forgot what I made.
It was first semester at the very beginning. So go ahead and say it.
Yeah, an igloo. My name is Lizzie Sanchez, and I'm in an igloo. I think. Yeah, an igloo.
Okay.
I know they're the parents, but some aren't their parents, and I think did you show them what these
I needed this one.
Okay, so you've got this on video.
So that's really awesome.
All right. Okay, so guys, she has a video that shows these things working. We did not hear the last. You could say it again, please. What y'all you did? I didn't hear.
Come back and say what you did.
Say what you made.
Yeah.
Don't you leave me till I see that.
My name is Lizzie Sanchez, and I'm in an igloo. An igloo.
What was that? She made a light up igloo. Okay. A lot of them made some projects, so like when your brother or sister comes in your house, it buzzes and the lights come on and lets everybody know that brother or sister have been in there. Nice. Like this. All right. Yeah. Coming to your room. It's called Hack My Room.
Now, the first thing I want to know, because I've got to figure out how to do one, how'd you make that needle?
It's a sewing needle, yeah.
It's a sewing needle. How about that? That's
Yeah.
neat. Now, tell me how it works.
Chops.
Earth is there. Earth's not a star.
And what grades are you in?
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Glad it's not. Okay. Reel them in? I need to reel them in? Yeah. All right, ladies, if you'll come this way. Can I play this way? Yeah.
Is that called a 40? I'd rather get behind you.
What does it take when your little junior walk in the All-Star? Yes, honey. We want to hear this.
Did some of their parents come too?
Yes, their parents are here.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say that. Okay.
Is this the video?
Yes.
I want to hear the Bible.
The power that makes everything work together. This big piece that I have is a light system. So if you change it to the move where if the light is on, then the light will off. And if the light is off, then the light will come on. These orange wire, it's like connects certain pieces.
Thank you, good job.
Oh, really? Is that, y'all bring that record player back over here?
I thought we had one of the record players. Don't we have one of the record
I
players?
want that record. Yeah, 33.
That's more videos, I think, with record players and videos. Shh. The mic next to it.
Volume high.
Oh, here it is. It's on the screen.
That is too cool. One more time. Steve.
So why don't we go ahead and bring everyone up here and we'll have the parents.
Great.
Get it, girl.
Tell your parents to come up.
Hey, parents, could we have you guys come up here? We're going to take a photo with you and your students.
So-and-so
Where am I going? I don't know. Your parent Right across the middle, right girls, right here.
Y'all girls, y'all go in front of me.
Oh, yeah.
Parents or grandparents?
To be fair, I am.
There's a grandfather out there too. The grandparents need to be a part of that.
Grandparents? Come on, girls.
Okay, girls, come on, get your picture. I'm getting the picture.
Here you go. I know, you feel happy you're taller than me.
Grandparents are here too. Got to celebrate grandparents.
Get back there in the back.
Mr. Browning, you need to get it.
Come on, Miss Brownie.
Okay, I'm here. Smile, smile.
All right. Everyone move this way if you would.
Make sure everybody can see the camera, that your face is in there.
Great.
Okay, and if you can stay up here, I've asked Betsy to help me present a certificate to you. If you got it?
Fuquay. This certificate says that the Pitt County Board of Education proudly recognizes Delane Fuquay for creating excellence in the East. And that's what you have done at Farmville Middle School, and we appreciate you.
Congratulations.
Oh, and also, come on, Miss Cook, come up here. And your certificate says the same thing. The Pitt County Board of Education proudly recognizes Anitra Cook for creating excellence in the East. And I would like to say that my children go to these two schools, and they personally have both experienced their wonderful enthusiasm. We still have a disco going on back there. So thank you very much for all that you have done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate all you've done. Congratulations to all the parents and grandparents. Thank you so much for encouraging your daughters to look beyond and above the standard careers that they might have thought of.
Future engineers.
Okay.
How about getting your project and then take it outside, okay? Thanks. Thank you. Yes, get your project, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't have one.
Future engineers.
Who wants to get out there and project and bring it outside? Yes, ma'am. Great job. My mother worked at a picture
I don't know what she did with it.
Thank you.
That's some good stuff. I love that. I love that.
It's fantastic.
That thinking outside the box.
Yes.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. No photo bombing back there. Good job, Lord. Thank
And the third grant we wanted to share with you all tonight is compliments of the work of Mr. Russell Knight. He's the band director at J. Rose High. The program was recently awarded from Perkins Wells West Trust a grant in the amount of $85,000 to help provide instruments to students in need. And so we want to ask Mr. Knight to come forward along with Ms. Jacobson, the principal of the school, to tell you a little bit about their grant.
All right, good evening, everyone. How are you this evening? Well, I don't have any fancy record players or anything of that nature. I do have a brochure when I get ready to talk about another topic. But I do want to thank you for this opportunity to highlight a few of the initiatives at Rose. Throughout Pitt County, like we've seen tonight, we have educators that seek ways to engage our students and provide them with resources to be successful. And we appreciate being able to be here this evening to talk about two of those opportunities that we have for students at Rose. Mr. Russell Knight, our band director, has joined me to share information about the band program's recently awarded grant by Perkins Wells and West Funds. I would like to thank Mr. Knight and his colleagues for their work in securing this grant for our school. And at this time, I ask him to come forward to share the details of the grant.
Good evening, guys. So back in October, I can actually remember signing the paperwork on one of those days we were home with all the flooding. We submitted for the Wells, West, and Perkins grants to have some assistance with a project that was going to be in total of $102,000. And we were denied initially with that first request, and we received some feedback from it, and we submitted 3 subsequent proposals the next quarter. One where we were only requesting $75,000, one we were requesting about $45,000, and one we were requesting about $27,000 to give them some options to still help us in a way that would be great for the kids. And then we were shocked when we got the response back the first quarter of this 2017, because the original amount of $85,000 was approved, 30 through Perkins, 30 through Wells, and 25 through the West Foundation. Project had 2 basic goals. The The first goal was to provide some large instruments that we were desperately in need of replacing that are too costly for us to purchase in any year with the amount of money that we're provided either through Pitt County Schools or what we can raise with our band boosters. And those instruments that we applied for this year were another sousaphone for our marching band, which runs about $9,000, and then a professional set of timpani, which together runs about $20,000. Every year we host the Eastern District band auditions at Rose High School, and Carteret County drives up a set of timpani to use at that audition because what we have is just not adequate to host those auditions. So we felt like it would be beneficial not only to us but to all of the area schools for us to have that set of timpani. And then the second, and this is the part that's really near and dear to my heart, the second part of the grant was to provide some professional quality instruments for our students to use that don't get that opportunity and don't have the resources at home. Their parents don't have the resources at home to do that. Typically in a band program like ours, the large instruments, the tubas, the French horns, the bassoons, the baritone saxophones, those are provided by the school and through the school system. And I will say when I took over at Rose 16 years ago, those instruments were really in bad shape. Through the efforts of Pitt County Schools and the JTROS band boosters, over the past 15 years, I'd say we've probably put $150,000 to $175,000 into replenishing and renewing those instruments, getting new instruments in those areas. And we've really been blessed by that. It's been great. The students have had a huge upgrade, and it's made a huge difference in what we're able to do. Typically in a band program like ours, the smaller instruments, flutes, clarinets, saxophones, trumpets, trombones, those are provided by the families because they're cheaper. Well, the problem is a lot of our students at Rose High School get those instruments in 6th grade, many used, several from pawn shops, and by the time they're getting to 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, those instruments are well past their life. The way MacGyver used duct tape in the 80s, I use silicone plumber's tape in my band room every day to keep clarinets together, to add a little bit of thickness to a key to make it close up. I mean, it's just been trying to magically keep these instruments working. We had a clarinet player a couple of years ago that made all-state band, and he was a fantastic musician, but he was playing on a really low-quality, very old instrument. And seriously, he sat in Greensboro that year, and the other students across the state were laughing at him and his clarinet he was using. And he was saying, well, I played as well as you do, so who's laughing now? But what we wanted to do is we wanted these students that are expected to provide their own instruments normally to be able to have some instruments that were capable of playing the quality of music, the difficulty of music that we're doing. We're just really running into limitations with these instruments that are falling apart. And the students in our wind ensemble and our top jazz band are playing really difficult professional level repertoire. So a large part of this grant was for 22 wind instruments, flutes, clarinets, saxophones, trumpets, trombones, that could get in the hands of these students. We were thrilled that we were approved for the grant. I will say after we got the approval and we started doing some bidding and negotiating with companies, we were able to up that from 22 instruments to 25 instruments through negotiations with some companies. And I will say after the help of Pitt County Schools and the work of Deborah Baggett to give us a creative way of using some tax dollars in a slightly different way, we were able to purchase 2 more and get that up to 27 instruments. So that's going to be great. And these instruments, I've had a philosophy when purchasing instruments at Rose over the past 15 years of buying better quality, maybe not as many, but better quality instruments that can withstand the rigor that the students need, and they just last longer. And so these instruments that we've just started getting in over the past couple of weeks are going to probably last 20 to 30 years and benefit this program and dozens and dozens and dozens of students for many years. So appreciate the help of Pitt County Schools, because part of that proposal was through our Pitt County in lieu of fees money. Part of it came from Deborah Baggett and the work she did to help us use a little extra money at the end. And certainly to my band boosters, specifically Mr. Rick Smiley, who helped us with writing the proposal and submitting that so that it was coming from the band boosters and not from myself. But want to thank all of these folks that have been so supportive and helpful to us. I don't have any videos for you tonight. I don't have any sound clips, but I have 2 invitations. If you would like to hear these instruments being used, we have our spring jazz concert on Saturday, May the 13th at 7:00 p.m. at Rose High School. And then our spring wind ensemble concert is the following Tuesday on the 16th. at 7:00 p.m. If you have not had a chance, and I know I've seen several of you at events, but if you have not had a chance to hear one of these groups, it would be worth your time. If you come out for a couple hours one of those evenings and hear what these students are doing, you'll be blown away. These kids are great, and they've been doing a lot with very little, and now they're going to be doing even more with a lot more. So we appreciate your support and the help of the Perkins, Wells, and West grants.
Congratulations, you can stay up there.
Thank you.
You want to come up here? Yeah.
How many students are in the band?
We have about 150 different students earning a total of about 350 units of credit annually.
There's 26 graduating this year.
Yes.
Filthy bags today.
And one of them is hers, which is why I've asked her to come up here.
He mentioned the word blown away. I have been blown away several times already. Happened to be one that have been in his band room. And I tell you, music wasn't like it was in my day. I was a product of marching band and also the concert. But when you in where I've seen you be, I mean, music just doesn't sound like it did in my day. And the thing, what makes it so different now is it's all computerized. So they take no lessons, computer, and that's the way they do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
For your devotion and everything that you've done to get us to where we are now. And $85,000 is no chump change, they call it. The Pitt County Board of Education proudly recognizes Russell Knight. Deep breath. Take it. For the moment. For creating excellence in the East, presented on May 1, 2017. Thank you for all that you do.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
So excited.
I got that.
Yes.
Congratulations. We're proud of you.
Mr. Knight,
Yes.
how many man-hours of time did it take to fill out that grant?
Not many when you divide out the dollars.
Well, If you put them all together, how long would it have taken to fill that grant?
Well, again, Mr. Smiley did a good bit of the legwork on it, but I mean, it was probably 5 to 7 hours of work initially, and then we did several hours of work kind of to give them those other proposals this spring, which then, I guess helped us out because it explained what our needs really were.
And my point to all of this is that's something you didn't have to do. We didn't pay you to do that. And we're glad you did, which brings me to another point. Great teaching is a calling. It goes beyond 8 to 4. And I want to thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And with Ms. Jacobson here with us tonight, we thought this would be a great time for her to share a little bit also about the AP Capstone program at J.H. Rose High. So, Ms. Jacobson, thank you for coming.
All right, and again, I want to thank Mr. Knight and also our Associate Band Director, who isn't here this evening, Mr. Russell Howard, and our band boosters and all the other individuals that assisted us with securing this grant and walking us through the process of securing the instruments for the program. As shared, I do have a brochure that I think has been passed around about our AP Capstone program. In November, J.H. Rose was pleased to receive notification that we had the opportunity to offer this to our students. We were selected to participate in the College Board's AP Capstone program beginning in the 17-18 school year. Currently, there are only 14 schools within North Carolina that are part of this program, so we are really excited that we get to join the ranks of those schools. AP Capstone, as shared, is part of College Board's advanced placement coursework, and the program allows students to work towards a university-endorsed diploma or certificate. So they get to graduate with a special diploma or certificate, and I'll discuss a little bit more in detail about how they designate between the two. We chose to apply for this program as it continues to promote the skills necessary for our students to be successful beyond high school. In particular, the program cultivates skills needed for research, for collaboration, communication, and also independent thinking. The official process for our school began this summer with our application being due in early August of 2016. However, we really believe that this journey began way earlier than that, as we had to begin reflecting on our ability to be able to offer rigorous and relevant coursework to our students. We believe AP Capstone offers a means for those students to further this tradition of academic excellence by allowing our students to explore areas of their individual interests at a much deeper level. So we don't just select, well, this is what your topic of research is going to be. Those students get to decide for themselves. AP Capstone includes 2 courses, and as you see in your brochure, one is AP Seminar and the other is AP Research. And it provides a lot of flexibility in how we offer the course. So you can start it at, underclassmen grade level or later, and so we have chosen to start it at Rose in the junior year with the seminar class. So we will begin next year with just the seminar portion for our juniors, and those rising, when they become rising seniors, they will take the research course as a senior, and then we'll begin a new group of juniors. In addition to them being able or taking those 2 courses, those students are also required to take 4 additional AP courses. So again, that lets them delve a little bit deeper into the areas that they have an interest in. And if you open up your brochure to the middle, the inside middle in the blue block, you'll see the difference between the AP diploma, AP Capstone diploma, and the AP Capstone certificate. With the diploma, they have to score a level 3 or higher on the seminar and research class, but they also have to score a 3 or higher on the other 4 AP courses that they elect to take. For the certificate, they still have to score a level 3 or higher for the research and seminar and research class, but they don't necessarily have to score a 3 or higher in the 4 additional, but they do have to successfully complete the class. And I just want to say that we obviously are in the beginning stages since we're just going to offer it next year, but it is our hope that our knowledge gained through this implementation process will allow us to be a resource to other schools so we can expand this program within our county. And I hope you will invite us back when our students complete their research and allow them to share their research with you in the future. And does anyone have any questions that I may be able to answer for you?
What made you, how did you hear about this?
Some of my teachers, again, it's about them trying to engage in different opportunities for our students, and some of my teachers that participated in some AP courses this summer were talking about, I think it was actually not an AP course, it was at the Tar River Writing Project, and they were talking to some other teachers within other schools within North Carolina that have the program at their school. And I think the closest high school to Pitt County may be Knightdale. They have the program at their high school.
Is there a particular number of students that can do this at one time, and if so, how are they selected? Is it that they choose to take it, they're recommended for it, and how many can do it at one time?
We push really hard at Rose to have students that are interested in taking more rigorous courses to apply for the course. So they didn't have to be recommended, and we are happy to say that we had 36 students to sign up to take it for the first year. So we have a solid program to begin with.
So
Yes,
does
ma'am.
the College Board contact schools that are eligible? I heard you say only 14 other schools in North Carolina participate. Does College Board tell high schools that they're eligible?
No, they do not. We just, and again, teachers having discussions with one another, and thought that'll be a really good idea for us. Again, we offer this past year 18 AP courses, so we felt like we had a good foundation to be able to offer this to our students. And we had to fill out for the application process, we had to share what our demographics of our school, the demographics of our school, and then also share why we thought we would be able to offer this course to our students. And one is because of the rich academics that we're able to offer.
What is your demographics now?
In our AP classes, I don't have the details for the AP classes, but overall we have about 40% Caucasian students, and then African American students, it's about 55%, and then we have about 5% other.
And so this, Rose High will be the lead school for this, for the other high schools?
We hope to be, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So this will have more students getting college credit before they even get to college for those schools that accept the AP course.
Yes, ma'am.
On top of what has already occurred.
And the minimums that schools require is the level 3, and so it just depends on what university the students apply for, what they will accept. But that was another reason we were really interested in this, because it just doesn't stop with, oh, you have to just take this AP research or seminar class. It pushes them to take even beyond that.
And so, right now, with freshmen entering Rose High, they need to be told to take the honors courses now for the first 2 years. Is that still the same?
Yes, ma'am.
Then those third, the junior and senior year, they need to be taking APs.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you get, like I used to tell the children, you know, it's like getting $6 for the same job you get $3 for if you are doing the general courses. So take AP and get your $6 and your 6th grade course, and that will boost that grade point average when it comes to graduation as well.
Yes, ma'am. And even our students that may start out in the standard level, it's teachers like Mr. Knight, who also teaches the AP course, and other teachers, they do a good job of encouraging students to try to take something a little bit more rigorous to challenge themselves. So even if they don't start out with the honors, we can have them in AP by the time they graduate.
Well, I always say start out like you're going to hold out, and I encourage all the parents to have the children take the highest level that the school has to offer, wherever it is in our system, because it really does help them to rank when it comes to the class in general and the county and the state and the nation as a whole. So it's very important that our children, and stop letting the children tell you what you want to take, but tell them what they're going to take and make them take it so they can be successful, because it's no harder. It's just that you go at a faster pace, and our kids are brilliant if we tell them that and push them and have high expectations. And so we need to be doing that in all of our schools, letting them know that, you know, there's nobody smarter than you if you apply yourself, but you got to work. It's not easy, but you got to work, and anything worth having is worth working hard for.
All right.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Even your feeder schools, I think, needs to know about this program, the middle schools, because I think those kids need to be preparing themselves in those middle schools, because, you know, there's some courses that some of them don't want to take.
That's right.
They
but you
always
make
go
them
back.
take
I
them.
mean, as a principal, I always heard when I would have a kid in my office and the parents, that kid would say, well, I don't want to take that honors or AP or whatever it is, when the parent is supposed to be a parent.
Thank you.
Looking out for the future of that child. And by him being in a higher, or she in a higher or more challenging class, yes, they may have to work a little bit harder. Yes, they may not be able to go be on the ball team all the time, but it helps them in preparing for college or whatever they do after high school. And our counselors have got to be advocates for those students, because many of the parents don't get involved, and they don't they don't feel like going out there and pushing the kid. So we got to make sure, Travis.
A lot of them don't know how either.
Before I kept going, but that the counselors do all they can in saying this kid's got potential. I believe they can be successful in this particular class, honors or AP. Teacher might say they are not going to make it in my class. With a safety net there, they can make it.
Question. Do we have a percentage from your school of students that are taking courses for college credit?
I can tell you that the percentage of students that made a 3 or higher that were proficient on the AP exams, we had about 60%, which is above the state and national average.
60?
And that's been consistent. And I will share that it has slightly decreased over the years, but we've also increased the number of students participating in the program. I mean, you know, our students that take AP classes, they don't just take 1 or 2. By the time, you know, they've at least completed 5 by the time they've graduated. So, and we're going to continue to do that, because we feel that even if a student doesn't score that level 3, they're much better prepared to be successful in college if they take AP courses.
Final
that's why
question.
we don't limit, just by teacher recommendation.
Right. Do we monitor that, and do we have a program to make sure we try to keep it as high as possible?
Yes, and just this year, we had, and Mr. Knight can tell you, we had College Board actually come in and do a AP audit of our classes, because we want to make sure we maintain that rigor. And that, we even talked about the AP capstone when the auditor was there, because we wanted to see what would be the best way to offer it. And going back to the flexibility of this, he said he's seen it offered in so many different ways around the country. And so we're excited to start this, but it's going to be a challenge as well, because everybody's done it a different way. So we're going to, have to be very innovative in how we offer this to our students, but we're excited.
Ms. Jackson, thank you so much for coming
Thank you.
tonight. And I just have to say, you've capped off elementary, middle, and high school, just models of excellence. It's really, really impressive. It's fantastic to see throughout our entire system. So thank you.
All right. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have public expression, and we have one person who has requested to speak to us tonight about the Pitt County School Cell Phone Use Policy. Mr. Cooper, you state your name. It looks like you're representing the SCLC of Pitt County, so you get 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Keith Cooper. I'm the president of the Pitt County Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and it's good to be here again. According to teacher data from the Pew Research Center's Internet and American Life Project online survey of teachers from March the 7th to April the 23rd, 2012, 71% of teachers say that managing student use of cellular phones and other digital tools in class is a big issue. Thus, teachers must stress enforcement, and administrators, in my view, must hold teachers accountable for not doing so. Enforcement is key. Further, it's been reported that most schools around the country allow students to use cellular phones for safety, especially after the Littleton, Colorado High School tragedy in 1999. Yet, studies show that when large numbers of students call their parents during emergencies, phone lines and cell towers tend to get jammed, and security actually gets undermined. Parents under this condition may rush to a school in a crisis situation when school officials and law enforcement personnel may want to keep them away for safety reasons. According to The Atlantic, many students rationalize that they concentrate better on their work when they're listening to music. In 2010, in the Harvard Business Review blog network, Peter Bregman concluded that multitasking can reduce productivity by as much as 40%, increase stress, and cause a 10-point fall in IQ. Since the proverbial horse is out of the barn, you may choose to allow students to continue to bring their telephones to school as long as they are turned off and placed inside of a book bag until the end of the school day. If a student needs to call home for emergency purposes, he could either use the office phone or the teacher's phone. Practically every classroom has a phone. If you choose to ban cell phones from schools, consider some conventional reasons for doing so. Number one, distractions. Teachers often complain about competing with students for their attention. Possible health issues. There are some studies talk about detriment of radiation with prolonged use. bullying. At one school around the country, Madam Chair, a guy broke up with his girlfriend, and one of the girls called the other girl, well, actually sent a text through the school, basically saying, "Oh, what a slut." That caused a lot of psychological problems there. Cheating is another reason, because it's very easy for a particular student to take pictures of various tests, especially if they know that they're going to be tested on materials later on down the road. And theft could be a big problem. Number 5, especially the expensive gadgets. There's also an impact on student performance, and equity is an issue as well. Number 7, cell phones are more likely to be owned by students from wealthier families, especially high-tech devices. So in conclusion, 1/2 of teens send 50 or more text messages in a given day around the country, or 1,500 text messages per month. And 1 in 3 send more than 100 texts a day, which translates into over 3,000 texts per month. Moreover, a recent study from the London School of Economics found that schools which barred the use of cellular phones experienced substantial improvements in test scores. I urge you to revisit the cell phone use policy at your earliest convenience and act accordingly. Dr. King was correct when he said the ultimate test of a man is not where he stands in times of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. All right, next item on the agenda is consent items for approval. I believe every board member received the consent items in your packet. And I don't think that there were any requests for changing any of those consent items.
Motion to approve.
It's been moved by Mr. Forbes to approve, seconded by Ms. Williams. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. New business. Ms. Brady will conduct the first reading of the 6500 policy section and talk to us a little bit about that and some other miscellaneous policies.
Board members, we have the 6500 policies ready for first reading, and we have taken 2 of them out for additional study, but other than that, all the 6500s are here. The 2 that we've removed for further study are network security and resource conservation, and we're going to continue to look at those and take some of the ideas that we got from the policy committee members to finalize those. Then we also have some revisions to our meeting materials policy, since now we are going digital, and we've made some changes to that policy. We've added a new policy on admission of foreign exchange students, a new policy on automated phone and text messaging, some guidelines as how we send our messages out to our families and community. And then we've made a revision to our leave policy just to clarify some issues about child involvement leave that parents and our employees can take each year. And I think, board members, by our June meeting, some other policies that we've received from the School Boards Association, some to revise ones that we've already done, and some of these others that we're doing further study on, that should be the final policies, so that we will then have a totally updated new policy manual by June.
Fantastic. Ms. Council has worked with Ms. Grady for, I guess it's 2 full years
2 years,
now
yes.
of meetings, at least monthly at length. So thank you for that incredible, steadfast, detailed work, both of you. And I guess so we all have some reading to do. We need to look carefully at these policies. So take a vote on them next meeting. All right, any questions? All right, Matt, I believe you're going to update us with Synergistic.
I am. Jeff, can you put this on the screens for me? Good evening. Tonight we have some good news coming to us from Synergistics, our energy conservation program. Just a really brief reminder, we contracted with Synergistics 31 months ago approximately. This is a behavior-based energy conservation program. These guys are going to go into a lot more detail. The program has done really well. Thanks to our energy specialists, Fred and Grant, that are here to present to you tonight, as well as the principals and all of the staffs at our schools that have taken this program and really made it what it is. Without their support in these schools every day, their behaviors could continue on the wrong path. Now with this program and everybody being embracing of this program, really turned our culture around on how we use energy and how we go from there. So I'm going to turn it over to Fred and Grant and let them give us an update. Keep in mind, we split this 50-50 with Synergistics, the savings that we do get. At this moment, because of the charter schools that have come into play over the last 2 years, the money, our 50%, 98% of it probably, I would say, Deborah, has gone to support what we have to pay out to the charter schools. So having this program on has saved us in a lot of areas. Because we're saving this money, it's offset some of the costs to charter schools, and it's a really good program for us, and we continue to move. And after our 5-year period is up, we hope to continue the program on, either with these guys again or pick it up on our own. So guys, here you go. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Good evening. So I'm Grant Anderson. I'll try not to go into too much excruciating detail. We'll try to kind of keep it somewhat high level, but we wanted to give you a kind of a status report on the conservation program. As Matt said, we're just in the beginning of performance year number 3. So we've completed the quick start period. That was the first 6 months. And then performance year 1, 2, and we're just into 3 with February of 2017. The energy savings to date. So this is 31 months in. I think this is through the end of February, of 2017. So a little over $2.2 million. That's about 16.5%. So our goal for the program, we're trying to get to 20%, and we are getting there incrementally. Obviously, the savings early in the program started out low. They've continued to increase. As we've kind of gotten people more into the swing of things, being aware of the conservation program, working with everybody in the buildings, we're slowly driving that number up. So we're pretty happy about the program as it stands. And this is kind of the energy cost analysis. So August 2014, which was the beginning of the Quick Start program, that was when the energy program really kicked off. So the expected energy cost is a little over $13 million. Now that's how much the district would have spent on utilities between August 2014 and February of this year without a conservation program. And that's taken into account changes in weather and all that kind of stuff. That's all modeled in the software that we use to calculate energy cost and savings. So the actual cost was just under $11 million. We had a special savings of about $66,000. That was actually a billing issue that we found with the town of Farmville, where the electric meters were not being reset properly. And in some of the analysis that we do with the energy software is we'll go through those bills and look for anomalies or weird trends that don't make sense. We came across billing for the town of Farmville. It affected the four Farmville schools. And ultimately, we went to the town of Farmville and said, this doesn't look right. They took several months to sort of go through their paperwork and their data. And ultimately, they said, yeah, we didn't bill you correctly. And it wasn't a long, drawn-out thing to get the money back for the district. They took it off the bills as they came in. So Farmville Central, if we got a $20,000 bill, the amount due was $0 for a couple of months. So so the total program savings, again, 2.2 million, more or less, 16.5%. And then, the expected energy cost, again, is how much you would have spent. The actual is based on bills that we get in. Fred and I get the bills in every month, and we enter them into a database. And then the program savings are based on the use of what's called Energy Cap software. So it's a third-party software used by the Department of Energy, among others, and that takes into account weather factors. And then, a lot of what goes into the savings that we generate is working with folks in the buildings. A lot of what we do is savings during the summer, working with custodial staff, working with building staff. You get a very busy high school like South Central with 6 different things going on a July break day. Well, maybe we can consolidate them. Instead of having them spread out around the building, we'll get them all into a third of the building, and we'll only run a third of the building for that whole day. So there's a lot of things that we do, kind of day-to-day micromanaging things to get the savings. And then this is the projected versus actual, a little bit of an eye chart. You can see the 4 periods there. The quick start period, that was the first 6 months. That was actually where Synergistic didn't share in any of the savings. That was any of the savings during that period went right to the district. Performance year 1, so our projected savings was $719,000. Our actual was $931, so we exceeded the performance year goal by over $200,000. Performance year 2, our goal goes up, so it progressively goes up every year because they expect us to do a little better every year. Performance year 2, the goal was $769. We got a little over $1.1 million, so we exceeded our goal by $335,000. And we only have a little bit of data in for year 3. We've really just got February and March so far, but all indications are that we're going to do even better, that we'll continue to exceed our metrics and continue to return money to Pitt County schools.
All right, so Grant and Matt both touched upon, the program is larger than Grant and I. It's about getting the ownership of everybody in that building, the custodians, especially during breaks and the summer period. The principals are huge, getting their staff on board and helping us with that. Without each teacher occupying their space and taking control of that area, this program wouldn't be successful. And this chart directly shows that. If you look towards the bottom there, that was 2014. So that was the start of the program, the first 6 months. Our program is mainly behavioral based. So change in behaviors is not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen within that first 6 months. But what's good to see there was we started the upwards trend. And year after year, we've been doing even better. So the last performance year 2, which was February of 2016 to January of 2017, we hit our goal of 20% 6 times, so 50% of the time. And we were right there with a few others. We actually had a weird instance with spring break of last year. It didn't fall in with what our baseline was. It was about a month off, just how Easter fell. So you could see how we had about 19% in that March, but that April was 29%. It should have evened out to about that 22%. But where we make our biggest gains is during those breaks. We've got Thanksgiving, we've got winter break, we've got Easter, and then definitely summer. And that's where Grant and I will go to every school, every room, every closet, and we'll make sure everything is off so we're maximizing those savings throughout the school. And we'll also work with the administrators, making sure if custodians are working Easter break, there's a few out there that work a day or two to touch up the hallways. We get them air on those days. We work making sure the events, but where we can, we make sure the buildings are in their unoccupied mode with as much off as possible. So that's a real encouraging trend as we see over performance year 1, performance year 2, and even performance year 3, the first 2 data points there. Our data points for each month have been increasing. So we continue to get those behaviors, identify opportunities of where we can even tweak summer planning even more. We have to work around painting schedules and projects and all that, but our custodians, our principals have really embraced the program and worked well with us to get the program headed in the right direction. So we talk about dollar impact, but we really want to see, is the program out there really making a difference? So our base year, what we compare all of our results to is the August of 2013 to July of 2014. So before we hit the ground, get a year to kind of, what are we comparing ourselves to if the program wasn't here? So if we look at all schools across the board, we were spending $1.36 per square foot out there. Year one, we dropped it 18 cents to $1.18, and at the end of year two, we've dropped another 10 cents. So overall, we've dropped a quarter, 25 cents per square foot out there. And anywhere around $1, the schools are operating very well. And our maintenance team does a great job with their software out there to control the buildings. And combined with that behavioral piece, we're definitely going to get there under that $1 piece. With that, we talk about dollars, bringing back to school, but there's a larger focus. Obviously, the school system is part of the local community, so we want to make sure we're using the resources in a good manner, but also impacting our environment in a positive way. And this is kind of what translates, take away those dollars, what does that energy reduction look like in our environment? So it's just some eye charts there, but kind of giving you an overall aspect. A typical high school will use about 9,000 MMBTUs per year. So when you look at 64,000 saved over the life of the program, we're doing well. And with that, we just recently finished up Energy Star. So we really pushed this year with the program implemented in our performance year 2 to get our building certified Energy Star. And what that means is we submit an application with the data of what our buildings are using, and in order to qualify, the buildings have to be in the top 25% of the K-12 across the country. And we've got 34 of our 36 schools certified. Chicago will be certified once we finish construction out there. And Sadie Sauter does not qualify under Energy Star because it's got a too high of a pre-K, so it doesn't qualify as a K-12 environment. But all schools that are able to are certified with the 2016 or 2017 Energy Star tag, and we'll be getting decals for the school out there once they arrive. Yeah. Oh, I think that's it. So
That's truly impressive. Any questions?
any questions?
Couple of questions.
Ms. Moore?
Life of program, you mentioned. Got 2 questions. I'll just give them both to you. And I'm sure a program of this size, there have been many things that you've tweaked all over to give you your output now. Do you have, and do you feel good about your program to make sure that some of those tweaks that you did last year, year before, or whenever, that they don't fall by the wayside and you wind up having to go back and redo those things again?
Yeah,
In other words, I guess, how do you hold your game and making sure that you have something to hold what you've got?
Right. So the first question there, the life of the program, it's 5 performance years. So we've just started our performance year 3. So we've got pretty much 3 years left in the contract of the program. The second question, so kind of documenting our gains. We've got a lot of resources that we keep track of, the HVAC schedules at the schools. It's all documented, times, what we're doing, if we change something, how that impacts. And then for our summer planning, we have a schedule that we do for each building and what they request. I need the A wing for the first week and we continually update that. So we've got a lot of records to show what we're doing. We meet with the facilities team at least every other week and update them kind of what we're thinking, get their ideas on input. And obviously, with us, we're out in the buildings every week, every day, auditing. So it's not like we're going to that school one time a month or something. We're out there continuously every week doing 20 or so audits, making sure the schools stay on track. We leave feedback notices should there be an issue, just reminding that teacher, hey, I found your computer, we appreciate if you turn it off. So there's always feedback that's given to the principal at that level, and we've seen it out there that the feedback gets out to their folks. A lot of them have really embraced it, kind of made it a competition that they don't want, any little negative responses like, hey, I've got 2 classrooms that had computers on. And we've seen it in the breaks. We've had some stellar shutdowns. You walk into a school and there's not a single thing we find on. We walk out of there just the way we had left it. So our schools are really embracing it, and it's just getting it. Behavior is making sure you follow up. There's eyes in those schools, and there's always eyes in those schools, and that feedback gets down to that principal and definitely down to those teachers, because we'll have notes when we walk into classrooms, hey, everything's off. Try next time. So we know it's out there, and we do our best. Grant just finished doing something at Farmville Middle. He was asked to present to a class about energy conservation. So we try to get ourselves out there in front of teachers, students, and all that where we can to really get that program out there in the county.
it's a continual process to go through, just like everything you do. I mean, you're going to have some areas that aren't as well as others. Those are the ones you're focusing on to try to get built up. Ms. Kirkland can probably attest to you right now that we're there. They get the notes from these guys all the time, and then she takes that and takes it out to her building and says, hey guys, we've got to do better. I want to be number one. I want these guys to come tell me I saved the most in the district this month or this year or whatever it is. And you do.
She had it perfect. Both of the Wintergreen schools were perfect over those.
And that, I mean, it's all over the county. So it's really our leadership at the schools that have embraced the program that keeps it running and keeps it going
I
smoothly.
believe Mr. Forbes has a question.
Yeah, when you say your goal is 20%, eventually reach that 20%, about when do you think, what is your projection?
So we actually, in performance year 2, hit 20%. We were
I know, I saw
21.7. So the downfall of getting to 16 is our quick start period was about 3. Our performance year 1 was 17.4. Then we hit 21.7. So we aim to be over PY2. Or PY3 will be definitely over 20%.
Over 20%.
So we continuously, as we increase, we pick up usually about 3% a year. So we'll probably be there at the end of PY3.
Yeah, and honestly, we're not inclined to be satisfied with hitting 20 and
Oh, I
kicking
know.
back, but,
But you won't at least get that to
yes,
that point and
that's the
kinda
goal, is
stay
to get, and because it's, it is weighted with the early lower averages of the program, it takes a little bit to overcome that inertia and get the whole program up to 20. I mean, that means getting the latter years mid-20s.
Does all the schools, you got goals for those schools, particular goals, right? And schools that consistently are at not meeting, you aware of those?
Yes. Yes, sir. And the ones that
Are you doing what you're supposed to do?
Yes, sir. We are out there all the time telling them. And the ones that are meeting, these guys do a great job of getting our certificates. Dr. Linker allows us to come into principals meetings and say, hey, these were the top 5 this month or this quarter or whatever the time frame is we can do it. So we're trying to celebrate where we can, and we're definitely getting out there where we need some help and making sure we're getting
And I
out
would
there.
say, when you go into buildings at night, you don't need to turn the lights on, you have a flashlight.
That's the goal.
That's you.
To have a flashlight when you go, not to have all the lights on there.
Don't you turn those lights on now.
Mr. Forrest.
Would it be fair to say that you have more potential savings and maybe more potential problems with the older schools? I don't want to identify schools.
I mean, every school is different. We've got some of the newer schools that they were doing fairly well before us. So 15% on a given month may be a success, where that 15% may be 25, 30% in another school. So we tend not to dwell on the percent. We tend to dwell on the audits. So we may go at a different time, maybe when that school's transitioning from that occupied student load to unoccupied. So how are they doing with their lighting management with the custodians in that? Are we leaving the building totally on, although we're in this one little section? So every school is different. We take into account safety. There's some schools you turn off a hallway, it is dark. Stokes, Falkland, those kind of areas. So we kind of got to tailor it to every school.
Well, I'm thinking more of heat and air.
It's not so much looking at the efficiency of the building, because it's not a performance base of the equipment and the building itself. It's looking at the behavior of that building. How much energy conservation are we doing as a staff? Not how much are we doing because of our equipment. Whether the efficiency of the HVAC unit isn't as efficient as a brand new school, or the windows aren't as efficient as a brand new school. So comparing it that way is a little bit different when you're looking at this program, because it compares behavior, not necessarily the efficiency of the performance of the equipment in that facility.
I heard incentives. I love incentives. What are the incentives?
It's a lot of pride.
Okay.
I mean, really, wouldn't you say? It's a lot of pride. It's, I want to be the one that's number one. I don't want to be the one that gives me 4% savings when 34 other schools are giving me 20%. I don't want to be the one that has to be called out for that, or somebody have to come see you and say, hey, you got to really get on your staff because we're not doing it. It's a lot of pride. And principals are competitive, are they not? All principals want to be number one. So you give them the opportunity with that, they're going to run with it. They're going to make it happen. They want to be number one. They want their name on the top of that chart. Yes, ma'am.
It really is a team effort.
It is, very much so.
You know, not just you guys, you're the ones that sort of remind everybody and keep them in line, but all those principals and APs are the ones who are on top of the staff and making sure that when there is an evening or a Saturday or a Sunday use of the building, that gets called in. I know initially those were some of the kinks that we had was, oh, I forgot to notify and it's all been turned off. I'm assuming that communication piece is running more smoothly now at each school, so.
And we're always available. We'll get texts at night, they forget. We do our best to monitor and make sure we get this stuff on there for them.
It's really a team effort, really applaud everything that we do. Betsy?
I just have one quick question. So the $2.2 million savings?
Yes.
Is that, so after the 5 years, then Pitt County Schools gets to keep whatever savings we can maintain by having changed our
If we decide to
behaviors?
take the program and run it ourselves, then yes. There is options to continue contracting with Synergistics, and then you negotiate through that. Or you can take on the program yourself and run it that way. So, we've got 2 years, 2.5 years to really figure out how we want to tailor this when we get done. I believe we need to keep this going. We can look up and see $2 million savings in 31 months. That's something that we need to continue to do. Especially, charter schools aren't going away. We got new program initiatives daily, weekly, that, this money can help us fund. We got aging schools that this money can help us fund. There's all kinds of funding that the school system needs. So any way we can bring in savings to us is the way we need to go. So, monitoring that over the next 2 years and making the recommendations to the board on which direction we need to go is going to be a key in the next 2 years to make sure we continue this program successfully.
Ms. Council?
What other institution does or do synergistic work? And the reason I'm asking that, when you said that the town of Farmville had charged too much, now I'm worrying about my families over in Farmville.
Well, the reason Farmville was charging too much was the demand. And most residential places, you're not going to get charged the demand.
You will hit the peak.
Okay, so you all
just
don't do
affected
residential
industrial
stuff at all?
customers.
You don't do any of that?
No, ma'am.
No,
Okay,
we
you
don't do
you just do schools.
Synergistic does mainly K-12. We do municipalities in some cases.
Okay.
Some churches out there and different organizations. But
Some universities.
yeah, our bread and butter is really the K-12.
Yeah, well, I just had a real concern about your residents over in Farmville.
I think that issue was unique to industrial residents.
Okay, I'm just, just thinking, out there because, families complain always about high utilities and all
There are
that,
companies
so-
that will come out and do some tests at your residence to tell you if you are above and beyond or your equipment isn't as efficient.
They do,
This, that.
or
They do not,
utilities.
but there are companies out there that will do that.
Utilities do that.
Yes.
Remember, Utilities does that. But I just want to make sure that.
Well, in a residential bill, it's going to be a lot easier to find if you have like an increase in cost versus some of these school bills. It may be hidden in there where, $1,000 gets hidden in a school bill. $1,000 on a residential bill.
It's really noticed.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
I was just curious, did you check the period before 2014?
Right, we have bills
See if
all.
they'd overcharged us before we started.
This was actually a unique instance because they were changing software or something, and the way they had done it, they just messed up.
That's how they explained it?
Right.
Yeah.
But we have,
Go with that.
we have bills all the way up to 2013.
But we may never have heard about it.
Are there any
Yeah,
other
we would have never known.
have ever known.
No.
I know they're getting used to it because.
Your phone calls are going down.
Well, you can vouch for this too. We don't get no ways as many phone calls
Yeah, me
about that kind of
Mhm.
Me neither.
I don't, used to, every once in a while, I'd get that the ball light,
I
field lights.
know when the lights were
At
on,
4
where they
o'clock.
were at, in what classroom. Whole ball field, most of the ball field.
Mostly ball fields.
Well, Mr. Collar, Mr. Anderson, thank you so much for the incredible job that you're doing for Pitt County Schools and for our environment. We really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, guys.
And I believe you have
I
the
have one
next
more.
item, approval, let's see, you're presenting to us a request, which the board will need to vote on, for a water main easement in Elmhurst.
we need to grant Greenville Utilities an easement, which is 411 square feet at the corner of our bus entrance at Elmhurst off of Berkeley. This is to support this is for the tie-in for the fire sprinkler system that'll be installed in the new gym at Elmhurst Multipurpose Room. This area is where Greenville Utility will provide the tap into the water main. Then we can hook on there, provide our backflow preventer and the piping to the rest of the building. It's so small, I didn't think we were going to have to provide an easement for this. I would have liked to have brought through this back at the work session, so we could already had this kind of worked out. But they did bring it to us Thursday and said, we need this. And I said, well, we got a board meeting coming up. So me and Ms. Grady talked and decided to put it on here. But really, this is the area that you see. It's actually the bolded L-looking shape up there is the area that they are requesting an easement for our water main tie-in for the sprinkler system for the Elmhurst building. It is 411.94 square feet or 0.009 acres of our property there.
Yes, sir.
Can you show where the existing addition is on this versus the easement? I can't tell.
It's way off to your right. I mean, the new building sits here in perspective of the drawing.
Ah, okay. And the front of the school is on which side?
The front of the school is approximately here.
Okay.
This is the bus loop.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Do we have,
We need a motion.
Yes, ma'am.
move that we approve
All right.
the easement?
Mr. Forbes has moved that we approve the
I
easement
second the
request.
motion.
Mr. Forrest is second. Is there any discussion? Raise your right hand if you're in favor of approving the request for easement. And raise your right hand if you're opposed. And motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. That is it for new business. Thank you very much. Excited to see that project move along despite all the rain. All right, Dr. Laker, we'll just go in.
Today is the Principals Appreciation Day. Yeah, pretty big day, although I try to make sure the principals don't get too swelled ahead there. So, but it is chocolate parfait day as well. So you know, it's a lot of little things. But we are having a cookout for the principals tomorrow at a principals meeting. And also,
Nice.
Saturday, if you, I know the media came out and looked at our career fair that we had. Dr. Council was able to manage 400 plus people showing up that day. We had every school was represented, as well as Matt made his second charge go to the Saturday to his represent the maintenance department. We had child nutrition there. We had everybody there. There was getting people signing, working on licensure issues. So it wasn't just teachers. We had teacher assistants, we had classified people. I said child nutrition. Matt had some guys show up for his department, and they weren't here from Pitt County. Most of them were from out of Pitt County. The teachers were almost all from out of Pitt County, the certified staff. So people want to come here to work the Pitt County schools. So great job, Dr. Council. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you very much.
I agree on the same accord. I happened to stop by somewhere 10:30, 10:45, and it was great to walk in that gym and see all of Pitt County schools at a table, and the masses of people who were coming to be heard. And it's one thing to know that Bethel is that way, Grifton is that way, but to see what I saw Saturday, all working together for one common cause, that was great. And it says, too, that teachers aren't necessarily just teachers. And I say hats off to teachers because they do a lot of other things other than teach. They manage. And that's what we're going to need to keep Pitt County in the forefront. And from what I've seen, I am very happy. Music in the East, hats off to if he's here. Mr. Knight, keep on doing what you're doing. You may need to see this on recording or something. The AP thing, I'm glad. Deborah, your name came up several times tonight, so you got a hard act to follow, even yourself. So that's good. So, a lot of good work done. And the energy program, I applaud that too. It seems that every time we have a problem or concern somewhere, we know how to manage it where we can save money at this place and try to use it elsewhere. So Pitt County schools, hats off. I was at the National School Board Conference and took a little session on branding, and I think from that session, we're gonna start hearing more about branding of the Pitt County schools, and because it is Greenville, the mecca of the East, so we've got to keep up Pitt County schools, public schools, with what's going on around us. Thank you.
Ms. Flanagan?
Okay, just to piggyback on what Mr. Robert Moore said about the teachers, and I think Benji brought it up too, that teaching's not just from 8 to 4, that our teachers in Pitt County are really doing a fantastic job being marketing people and grant writers, and they're finding really creative ways to get the funds that they need, just like our musical MacGyver did tonight, and our school media people from Farmville. So anyway, hats off to them. I also wanted to just quickly mention another teacher who raised a bunch of money, and I was invited to visit her class at Creekside today, as a matter of fact. And last summer, she and another lady from her hallway raised the money with like a GoFundMe, and they used their summer break to go learn about whole brain learning, and her name is Haley Williams. And by the time I left her classroom this morning, and I was just invited for calendar time, so it was like I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes, but her kids were so engaged, and they really were talking almost in a different language. Like the kids were all standing up, and when they said a sentence that started with a capital letter, they raised their hands, and I mean, they were clapping and yes ma'aming, and it was just really impressive to see how those kids were engaged in what that teacher was doing, and she did that on her own. So I know that's going on all over Pitt County, but I was really excited to see that firsthand in Miss Williams' class today at Creekside. Also, we had the Farmville Schoolapalooza last Thursday night, which was a fantastic representation of the communities and schools, and the schools working together in Falkland and in Farmville to showcase what we have going on and just market some of the really cool things and how fantastic our staff and students here in Pitt County are. Thank you.
Well, I would like to say, first of all, congratulations to the individuals that were here tonight and the schools that received the grants, and I will add on to anyone else that's done that. I think it's, in the times that we're in right now financially, that it's important that people think outside the box and look at other options. And I applaud Mr. Knight. I work with him because I am a parent on his booster board for all 3 of the bands, actually, my son's in. And a lot of people, when they were rejected, would have just said, oh, well. And he didn't. And he said, we'll try it a different way. And I just would encourage those out there that maybe need funding for things to look at them as an example and to look and see what's out there that they can get funds for their needs. Because it is important for not just band, but for all classes that you have funding to educate our students. Teacher Appreciation Week, I tap onto that. I went to a thing at Epps before I came here tonight. Thank you to all the teachers, administration staff, everyone out there in Pitt County Schools. Keep doing what you're doing, and I appreciate everything that you do for our students. Speaking of students, good luck. AP exams started today, and they will run for the next 2 weeks. So good luck, students, with that. And then followed on, before we come back to our next board meeting, all of our students will be taking exams of some sort. And then speaking of exams, to you out there that are volunteers, please call any school that you're close to that you feel called to. They need people to come in and proctor those exams, and it's so important that we get proctors into the school. So please don't wait for you to be asked. Be proactive and call school. Thank you.
Just like to ditto all the things that's been said. I won't try to repeat them because time flies too fast. But anyway, I'd just like to say that we are also very grateful for all the high schools, the juniors at all of our high school following through on the North Carolina A&T State University's Institute for Future Agriculture Leaders program. We did get 19 students from our schools, juniors, to apply, and Farm Bureau will be paying for those students to attend a free week to learn about careers in agriculture at NC A&T State University from June 11th through the 16th. And so thank you, guidance counselors and others that work to help get those numbers up, because it's an awesome, awesome opportunity, and so many people don't understand how valuable agriculture is to our society and to our state. So it's a great way to learn, and also I'm encouraging our young people to apply for the USDA scholarship. If you are seniors, it's probably too late to do it this year, but it's an excellent scholarship that pays for tuition, room, board, books, provide a laptop, computer, and it also, you become a federal employee when you attend college. So it's an excellent way to learn about the careers in that field.
Thank you very much. Mr. Forrest.
Yes, I wasn't going to say this tonight, but I think it's time we do. I worked in agricultural education for 38 years, and I will tell you the leadership that Mildred Council gave to that EIFEL program and North Carolina A&T State University is the reason why that program is such a success. And Mildred, they're probably going to name a building for you one day. And I want to go there and help them do that. But the other thing I'd like to say very quickly is I appreciate the in-servicing, Dr. Linker, that you continue to give to our principals. I'll give you an example of that. You know, you and I have had opportunities to talk, especially the importance of involving the community, which I really do think that over time, if a principal will spend that time, it will save them valuable time in the future if they engage the community. And I was over at the Shad Fest, first time I ever seen a principal on stage. And the principal was there, the schools were involved. It was a wonderful occasion. Over at Grimes and G.R. Whitfield, the engagement that it made and the network and the connections that they made with the Grimes plantation there, the largest industry in Grimes, agriculturally based, but still very valuable as far as the real estate and those kinds of things are concerned. And the reach out that the school did with them is tremendous, and I appreciate it. And then one last thing, and that is I continue to plead with our community in the Chicago area to continue to be patient as we build that wonderful facility down there at Chicago. It's a great, great accomplishment, and I appreciate our community being patient with us.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
We've done a lot of talking over the last few months for various reasons about CTE and the importance of CTE. And also over the last few months, we've had the pleasure of being introduced to and served by some of the culinary students at South Central. And, you know, the skills that these kids are getting in CTE, the licenses that they're, earning, and the career readiness that's being provided to them through those programs is outstanding. But this week I had an opportunity, as I'm sure some other board members did, to receive some really lovely handwritten notes, thank you notes from those students. And I would just like to commend their teacher, Joanne Duncan, for not only teaching them the skills that they need to work, but also teaching them to be articulate and how to communicate. And it's such a lost art. And sometimes those skills get taught through other venues, whether it's at home or debate class or things like that. And I think sometimes it's forgotten in CTEs because the focus is on the skill, which is important in the reason you're there. But I would just like to encourage all the other CTE teachers to remember that their students, once they have the skills, need to be able to go out and interview. They need to be able to communicate with customers. They need to be able to go out and present and ask for business. And then they need to be able to provide appropriate thank you and follow up when they get business. So kudos to these students. These were thoughtful, very well written notes that I received thanking us for being able to feed us when we should have been the ones thanking. So kudos, and then to all the students out there, my son in particular, but all of them. You're on the home stretch. Really buckle down. Don't lose sight of what you have been working hard to achieve all year. Teachers, hang in there. You know, let's finish strong.
Thank you so much. Mr. Forbes.
Yeah, I would say that we've had great presentations tonight. Many of them being programs that challenge students, and that's what we should be all about. And in regards to principal appreciation, we really do need to appreciate our principals. I remember being principal. You would be out at those schools late at night. I remember at South Central when I was there with all the work with that large student body. I'd be there sometimes till 1 o'clock in the morning working. So our principals put a lot of hours in that they're not paid for, as well as the teachers. All the staff go way beyond. I also wanted to bring up in regards to the AP exams. I just hope and pray that those students try their best and don't just go down and mark. I hope they don't do what I did. But one other thing I would have to say in regards personally.
They had AP tests.
My son graduates this weekend with his PhD in nursing.
Oh.
And I can remember being at Falcon because my kids went with me. I was assistant principal and principals, and I just took them with me. And they got tired of moving, but I remember at Falcon, the boy forgot his book. He was going to get in trouble. And Daddy, being Daddy, went to the book room and got him a book. But yet, when he went to Chicago and Daddy was not down there at that time, he forgot his book and he got a 0. I said, that was a lesson that I learned, that it would have been best for him to have got the 0 in the 2nd grade rather than in the 8th grade.
Fantastic. Parents have to learn too, don't we?
You have to learn.
The hard way sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Williams.
I'd like to thank everybody that came out tonight. We had a full house, and I really enjoy it when the students, especially girls, say what you want to say, but especially when girls are on the top of their game. I like that. They're thinking, and our teachers are reflecting that, and instilling that, a small part into our girls, and I listened to the lady, Ms. Fuqua, with her examples of what the limits of women could be back in the day, and what we're doing, and we were talking about that earlier, is that their dreams are different than what our dreams were and what our grandparents and our parents were. So I was excited to see that. It's not only Principal Appreciation Day, but isn't it Teachers Week too? And I'd like to just thank all of our teachers, our former teachers, that's sitting out here on my leadership team now, and all the ones that are doing their a beautiful job of helping instill not only what Anna Barrett said, the skills that they need, but also the things that are going to put them ahead in life, like a thank you or handshake, or you dress this way, you speak. It's not this and that. It's this and that. So I like those kinds. So I wish everybody good luck on the AP exams. Parents, don't be so bad. Your kid's gonna do just fine. All you have to do is just pray for them. So again, I'd like to thank everyone that came today.
All right, thank you so much. And I just wanted to say thank you, Mr. Cooper, for coming tonight. And I believe we have 2 visitors from PPS of Pitt County who are also here. I think everybody else has to be here tonight. So I want to thank y'all for coming, because it's not a part of your job to show up at these meetings. We really appreciate you coming tonight and supporting Pitt County Schools. Just a few quick things. I won't repeat what's already been said. I'm really excited about not just the savings at Synergistic. I'm excited about the teamwork that is going into 34 buildings getting an Energy Star, and one can't do it because of procedural, and the other one's got big wide hole in it because we're building onto it. I mean, that's pretty impressive. That is teamwork up and down and throughout. It sets a great example for our staff. I bet you'll see lower energy consumption at our staff's homes because they're more aware of the issues that are causing their bills to go up. But I'm most proud that it sets the greatest example for our children, because guess what? It's our children who are going to be the ones, their energy consumption in the future is what's going to be making a difference on this planet. So I'm just really, really impressed with that. Such a good example that our staff is being good stewards of the natural resources that are entrusted to us. Very excited this week to see the press release about the R3 initiative, the facilitating teachers. I'm hoping some of those applicants that showed up on Saturday, we're looking at some of those jobs, and that they're excited about that 15% bonus. It's a big, or 15%, not just bonus, supplement ongoingly. It's so exciting to see wisdom and expertise put in a format, organized so that it can actually be passed on in a realistic way where it can make a difference for more than the students just in that classroom. I can think of a couple of teachers who I'd love to see do that. Anyway, I just am very proud of that. Very proud of Pitt County for putting in, talk about grant writing in the middle of the summer and getting told no the first time and then going back to the drawing board and writing it again, making sure they get it right. And look what they've been able to do for us. And the state giving us $5 more million for teacher compensation. That is so impressive. I'm so excited about what it's going to bring to our students. The achievement that they're going to see. I want to thank all the board members who came tonight to listen to their fellow board members share, four board members who shared what they learned from different trainings around this country, actually. And I want to thank all of you for spending an extra hour and a half to get updated on some of the lessons that we've learned from different parts of the state and the country. And last but not least, board members have set up 4 uniform listening sessions to hear from parents and guardians over the next couple of weeks at 4 different schools, and those invitations will be going out to all parents of Pitt County students that have registered phone numbers, parents and guardians. They'll get their notice about that on the telephone like we do with All Call. So very excited about the 4 opportunities at Wintergreen, Welcome, Lake Forest, and CMFs over the next couple weeks for parents and guardians of Pitt County school students to come and voice their opinions about our uniform policy. And with that said, could I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
And second, all in favor, raise your right hand. And all opposed. Thank you. Passes. Thanks very much.